Hello guys, and welcome to episode 14 of the game's HUDcast. My name's Matt, and today I am joined by Ollie.
Hello.
Rich.
Hello.
And the boy wonder, that is Kev.
Hello.
We've started the Tom replacement program.
Tom, you're fired.
Tom who?
You can't even Skype.
Sorry, Tom.
He's not even on Skype. Well, he was on Skype. I don't know.
We
I'm
haven't-
sure he was meant
we
to
haven't
Skype.
properly sorted it.
We just didn't figure
We
out
need
how
to
we
do
could
more
record
tests. Yeah.
Yeah. So
all good.
we'll get him on the next one. So Kev is with us, and his amazing game ability, playing Titanfall, taking work off for the last week and a bit, haven't you?
In the very, very brief moments that I showed you guys earlier on, like first-person shooters, fantastic, love them.
Raining in pain.
Raining down the pain with the
Raining down
Titans. Yeah, no, it's just so we've all been playing it though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't yet. I'm getting on
Absolutely
PC soon.
addicted.
So
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
When does it come out on PC?
It's out now.
It's out now.
It's already
It's been
out.
delayed on
Oh,
360
get on
though.
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah,
delayed
till
until
April.
April 8th, is it?
Yeah, that's
second week of April.
Yeah, April 11th.
That's completely unnervingly unusual to delay a game this late in the game, if you know what I mean.
Well, they delayed it
Yeah.
twice now. Haven't they? It was
Yeah.
meant to come out with the Xbox One version.
Yeah, usually it's
I actually like it though. I think that anything that's coming out for the old gen now, they should get a penalty for not upgrading to the next gen. You know?
yeah.
Screw them.
Yeah, I wonder if it's actual like a tactical move from Microsoft to actually delay it to make people get the Xbox One sooner.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
when you think, like, you look at the sales of, like, in the UK have doubled, haven't they, for the Xbox One?
Yeah.
Just for Titanfall.
Just for Titanfall. So
Yeah.
it has worked.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's totally worth it.
It's
Yeah.
worth it.
It's worth the
walking to Sainsbury's now, and it's just like billboards everywhere. The £400 bundle for Titanfall.
Yeah,
it's
man.
just like I absolutely love Titanfall, but like I see the bundles and they look so cool that I almost want to just buy it again. But no, I love that game. It's just melted my face over the last week.
Yeah,
I've played so much of it. I've seen a few people that have like re-upped because apparently the maximum level you can get to is like 50.
Right.
I'm on level
It's
I'm on level 41 at the moment.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
but that's only because I booked the last week off. I booked the last week off to play it, but
They do, like, a prestige thing on it, like Call of Duty, but
Like,
it's
yeah.
called, like, generation, so, like, second generation pilot and so on and so forth. I'm
yeah,
10.
yeah.
So.
I haven't re-upped yet, so I don't know if you lose all your weapons like you did in Call of Duty.
No idea.
That would suck, because that was always
That
like
would
the thing
suck.
with Call of Duty. It's like,
I didn't-
thank you for playing the game so well and getting it so here. We're going to take all of your shit away.
Yeah.
I never got that. Like, I was just thought, why not just get to level 50 and then just stay there? What's
Yeah.
the point in...
Yeah, I think with Call of Duty it took a long time to actually re-up though. So with Titanfall, I think they've made that kind of level 50 quite an early stage thing. I think it'd be very harsh to actually take it away from you if you lost.
Who knows?
Everything.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah.
So you're mainly an Xbox man, aren't you, Kev? Just
Yeah.
A little bit of
360, Xbox One, and occasionally dip into some Steam games.
excellent.
Cool.
Excellent. Awesome. So most of us are playing Titanfall.
Yeah.
We playing anything else? Anything else on?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of
we haven't
kind of dipping in and out of Titanfall, really.
dipping in and out, dipping
yeah,
your whip.
just give it a little like
Yeah.
A little bit of the
Lovely.
old in-out.
Yes, indeed.
Well, we haven't done a podcast for over a month.
Yeah.
Again, sorry guys, we'll get more regular with it.
It's all good.
No, I've been playing... I'm gonna dive into the next gen stuff. So obviously Titanfall is the thing I've been playing the most lately. And it's nice to have a next gen game that is just flat out awesome to be playing. I picked up Thief, which was okay. It was a tad boring.
Right, yeah.
I think I'd put in like 10 and a half hours into it, and then went to load it up a couple of nights before Titanfall came out, and got a blank screen.
Oh,
As you probably saw on Facebook.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating. So the menu would load, I could select the file, and then it would just black screen.
to invest that much time, I mean, I wouldn't go back to it.
Well, I'm going to hold on to it because I'm convinced that at some point I'm going to have an itch to play it.
Right, okay.
But it is so annoying because the game was okay. The story was really good. The game was okay. The graphics are alright. Like I say, they're alright. They are really good, but you sort of look at it and you kind of go, "Oh, for God's sake, this is being held back by previous generations. This isn't a solely developed next gen game." And the thing that was beyond frustrating about it is it's a game called Thief, so it's going to be about stealth, and they really emphasise that thing on stealth. So why bother giving you a battle system if you're just not going to bother with it? So the battle system is just
pointless, isn't it?
Shockingly crap.
So if you're up against more than one person,
You're screwed. Like you are pretty screwed.
I don't see the point in putting it there at all. Then
No, exactly. Either don't bother, or give you something to fight with, so that when that situation does arise, you can at least defend yourself and then go back into stealth mode.
do you get different like knives and?
No.
So you got the same kind of.
You can
upgrade. It kind of looks like Dishonored, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean you can upgrade
kind of,
your bow and arrows. You can get like a more taut bow, and you can you can get flame arrows, water arrows, choke arrows, where you like fire like a choking dust at people, so they start choking. So that gives you the opportunity to go in and take them out real quick.
Right.
Which is all really cool. Apart from when you alert someone. So you can fire like a choke arrow at 2 people, take them out, but they've made so much noise that 10 guards come running at you. And then you have a choice of either running and hiding until they go away, which is fine, or fighting.
It's quite repetitive.
It almost reminds me of Crisis 3, where they kind of gave you the cloak system.
Right.
And it was like cloak activated, and you would just like try and like shoot someone in cloak mode, but as soon as you did, that was it. The AI, as stupid as it was in Crisis 3, would just turn on you and just destroy you, which made the cloak kind of
pointless.
Yeah,
Right,
very pointless.
So that's frustrating.
That's the second time it's happened to you so far.
What's that?
Yeah.
On this generation with Battlefield as well.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, the game wipe.
Yeah.
The single player game wipe. That was awful.
I had to take the day off work to just play through the campaign in one hit.
Yeah, same here.
Just to get it done. But yeah, the other game I'd been playing a lot of, or trying to play a lot of, forcing myself to play a lot of, was Lightning Returns, which is really annoying because I class myself as a Final Fantasy junkie. I love Final Fantasy games, and in previous podcasts I have said that I'm most looking forward to this year because I get to play 4 Final Fantasy games. It's just a shame that one of them is guaranteedly not so good. And it's not even that it's not so good in a sense that the gameplay is terrible, because the gameplay is all right.
Yeah.
The mechanics of running around, it's all open world, so the old school Final Fantasy is there again. So it's, the level is just open, you just walk around it, interact with it. But you don't level up from fighting, you level up from doing side missions, which is fine.
It just goes against everything.
It does, but I'm okay with that because I found myself kind of doing 30 missions and kind of being like, oh, okay, I'm leveling up, I'm enjoying this now that I've figured out how I'm going to do it.
Right. Okay.
And the missions are kind of fun. They are just, go here, fetch this, bring it back to me missions. But they don't tell you where to go. So they'll say, I need this item.
Right.
But it doesn't say where to go for that item. It might give you like a hint, and you can go to that area. Then you need to start talking to the other characters, like you used to do in Final Fantasy VII. When you're in the villages, you had to talk to people to find out where you were going, and I liked that. It made it a bit more long lasting. But because that's how you leveled up, fighting almost became irrelevant, which is fine. Again, I'm more than happy if that's the way they were going to go.
But that's the main mechanic of an RPG.
Yeah, if they didn't make it feel like that was the main mechanic of the RPG, it wouldn't be such a problem.
The main problem with the fighting mechanic is when it comes to actually fighting a boss, everything counts.
Right.
And if you've not done a lot of fighting previously because there's no need to, or there's no focus on it, the difficulty all of a sudden just ramps up like tenfold. And you sit there fighting a boss for what seems like an hour and a half, just constantly trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
I just wouldn't have the patience.
You have to block in real time.
Okay.
So there's a guard button, so when the enemy goes to swing, hit guard, block it, and if you...
Okay, well... Yeah,
but that's not RPG. But that's for me. That's not like turn-based RPG strategy.
No, but some RPGs do have that kind of element of things.
And again, but it's fine as long as the gradual build to that boss fight prepares you for it. Which in this game it doesn't. Right. So I'm basically at the second boss about 11 hours into the game, and it's just 50 times more difficult than the first boss. And I'm just finding myself getting really, really wound up with it. So I've just put it aside. I will go back to it because I am determined to finish it. But it's difficult. I'm finding myself forcing myself to play through the boss battles and then just enjoying the non-gameplay element of running around.
Yeah, I think combat in games, in terms of boss fights, there has to be some kind of intelligent build up. Like going back to like Ocarina of Time, for instance, classic. But if you went back to that, every single boss fight you would learn some kind of like strategic skill through the level that you would need to like kill the boss with, and you would constantly have it in your back of your head. Like when it gets to the boss fight, you'd be like, I need to do this, which I learned in this level to do this boss in. Yeah. Whereas I haven't played Lightning Returns, but I can imagine that when it gets to that boss fight, there's not that kind of like achievement.
It seems a bit more
super
generic.
Frustrating.
It seems like all I need to do is do X, Y, and Z to beat this person, but I need to be strong enough to do it.
Yeah, pretty much. You do have to.
That's it. That's the only.
The only good thing about the whole system thing is, if you kind of go, right, I'm not leveled up enough to do this fight. You can just go, oh fuck it, I'm going to go and do something else then. Right. Just leave the area. Just walk away. Just bugger off. Go do something else. And that's exactly what I found myself doing. The reason I've tried not to do it with this boss is because...
Just walk away.
Sorry? Yeah, just walk away. Like any fight, children. But, the reason I've not done it with this boss yet is because I'm determined just to get this sodding thing done, and then I am basically just going to do every side mission that I can get my hands on for the next 10, 15 hours so that I am buff. And then the next boss fight will hopefully just be like a walk in the park.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to just sigh at a boss battle. You should be looking forward to it. It's and that's your time again. But when you walk into that kind of arena and it's all completely quiet, you're like, this is a boss fight. Yeah, you want to look forward to it. You don't want to be like,
even in Final Fantasy, like classic Final Fantasy, like even Final Fantasy 13, and everybody ribs me for loving Final Fantasy 13. But the boss fights in that game were phenomenal, and it would be so good. Even though sometimes,
mildly frustrating.
Yeah, mildly frustrating,
but not only enough to like ruin.
Only frustrating to the point where you would need to figure out that boss's weakness and then just rearrange your paradigms to suit that battle. And I loved that. I loved the paradigm battle system, and that game, or those, especially the first two, did that. They built up the intensity of the battles and explaining to you, how to figure out this person's weakness, and it made use of it. Whereas this just feels a little bit like, and it looked, I showed you the other day. I personally think it looks like a PS2 game as well. It doesn't look pretty.
Great. It just I think the problem is it's used probably the same engine as 13
but
did.
It doesn't look as good as 13.
But they didn't put the effort into all the environments. It feels more like a copy and paste of like a couple of different textures.
Yeah, all the textures are flat. They're
exactly.
Cracked, blocky.
From what I've seen, it looks like they didn't want to risk taking the advance of Jump from the old series to kind of nod to the fans, if that makes sense, as opposed to just going to completely like new direction in terms of graphics. It looks like they've kind of just not wanted to take the risk. Whereas what Final Fantasy needs to do is just think, right, that's it, we're resetting, we're turning the table, we're just going to start fresh.
Well, that's
like Halo 4 did pretty much with 343 Studios.
Yeah,
they just completely, graphically it was bounds ahead of the last one.
Yeah. But Final Fantasy 15 looks the nuts. So just give me that now.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that.
So yeah, I've had a fairly frustrating month.
A torrid time.
So Titanfall is a welcomed addition because it's just been a couple of months of fairly...
It's been a beauty.
Yeah, it's been a beauty. Not graphically though, like I will say. It looks fantastic and it runs, it runs smooth as... But it kind of looks like a re-upped 360 game, I will say. It doesn't look next gen, but what they've done in terms of like the controls and the actual balance of the game is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. From the time when the beta came out and you did that kind of training mode, the moment I started running, I was like, this is it. This is like perfect. It just felt right.
Definitely.
And
buttery smooth.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Even with the wall running, it only takes like a few games once you start getting the wall running up together, and it's really intuitive.
Parkour.
Absolutely. There it is.
First
There it
one.
is.
I'm going to try and make
of many,
it.
Of many.
I'm just going to do 11
Well,
instances of parkour
What
in
about
this
every
entire
time
thing.
we say Titanfall?
Parkour.
Yeah, okay.
Parkour.
Okay.
All right, anything
What
else?
Titanfall.
Anything else?
Oh!
Parkour.
Awesome. I am still playing through Tomb Raider. I haven't actually finished that yet,
Oh.
which I'm surprised at. I'm right at the end though. I'm right at the end. I keep putting it down. That's the problem for other things.
Textbook error.
Yeah, but there's other things in the
What are
way.
you doing?
South Park: Stick of Truth.
Okay.
Okay,
That's what you're doing.
I've completed it. I couldn't put it down.
Cool.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
Completely.
I haven't played it. I know.
So
I'm a
so
failure.
good. Like it's just so funny. Like I know you saw a little bit the other day, and it was just it's just hilarious, man. It's
It was
so good.
It was funny.
If you're a fan of South Park, it is an absolute must.
Yeah.
You cannot not play this game.
Is
so
Stan's
many
dad
nods.
in it quite a lot or not?
Sorry?
Stan, his dad.
Yes, Randy.
Excellent.
Randy. And
Randy.
He
even-
makes the series.
He even gets dressed up and gets into it. It's like at the point where like no other adults have. He's just he's the best adult character. I think
Brilliant.
It's my favourite. And
Yeah,
it's just,
he is.
And just the humour in it throughout is just a joy. It's the side missions are great fun. The fighting's great fun. You know,
Graphics are
the graphics
brilliant.
are super. It's spot on. To,
Really?
it looks like an episode.
Yeah, it really
Yeah?
does
It's-
look impressive.
It is so good.
Even
so
the way the characters
grotesquely
move.
rude at points, but yeah,
Love it when they move, they just go.
it just bob.
Like they do it. It's so good.
Brilliant.
And there's so much customization. There's not a lot to the leveling system. It's literally like 15 levels, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that's the cap. So it's not like Final Fantasy or something where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just go on for like little level 99 or something. it does cut you off. And the game is it's fairly short for an RPG, but that's all you'd really want from a South Park game.
Yeah.
It's,
This is something I never thought I'd ever think of saying out loud ever. But isn't it weird that a South Park RPG can get it right and Square Enix can get it so
so
wrong?
drastically wrong.
Can't believe you just said that.
They
Wow.
should have well, no, but it's really great. It really is great, and they got it just right. And okay, it does have that whole block element to it. So when
Yeah,
you're being
but
attacked,
If that's part
You
of it,
hit-
it's fine.
you hit a button to block, and when you go to attack, you've got a choice of a light attack, which you get a couple of hits in,
Cool.
or like a heavy attack, or you get to use your mana, which it isn't really mana, it's fart power. And basically, you can eat certain things to boost up, like that would give you the farts, to boost up that magic power. And you learn several, farts
Standard.
throughout the game. I'd say that's the only gripe with the game is when you're learning a new fart, you've got to learn how to manipulate that fart.
Oh, okay. Can we just pan over
And,
ways to manipulate your fart?
Yes,
All right, all right, okay.
But Randy teaches you
Okay.
one where it's called something squeaker. And basically, you fart out a little ball, and then he sort of blows it. Like this, blows it along, and then you can blow it up. You can blow it up behind someone, and that's basically to distract your enemy. And then he goes into
But
just
don't you
to cry.
Don't you?
Oh,
Don't you? If you do it too much or do it too hard, you poo your pants.
Yeah, you can overeat too much food to mana, and you can shit yourself.
Is the story like the whole game? Obviously, like the South Park movie was amazing, but is the game like on par with like a film? Is it like
Absolutely. It's
essentially like a new South Park film?
You can probably consider it like another series. Basically, it starts really simple as the kids obviously like dressing up and having this story all based around the stick of truth, which throughout the entire game is just a stick. That's all it is. From start to finish, and then typical South Park styles, things escalate and escalate and escalate, and I'm obviously not going to reveal the story, but it amounts to this big thing, including the government and all kinds of stuff, and it's just absolutely.
I don't think it's much
Cool.
of a spoiler to say this, just because it made me laugh very much so. So I will just say the word spoiler now, just in case. But I don't think it is a spoiler for the story.
Okay.
But it was just that part in the game. It was in the cutscene where basically a guy from the government just took all his clothes off, and he's had this like pair of little nuts, just like running around as he's running around with his dick flopping around. Like,
Well, there's a rather graphic scene where you can when you first shrink yourself down, you can shrink yourself down to a gnome size because you have to fight the gnomes at one point. Spoiler, whatever. There's a rather graphic scene of your parents getting busy.
Oh, right,
My
okay.
parents.
Your parents.
Specifically
Really?
your parents.
Oh my god.
Which is you actually fight a gnome. You fight a gnome on the bed
Oh, wow.
while it's happening.
Nice.
So yeah,
Jesus, I think as
so
soon
funny,
as
so funny. It's unbelievable. You're just cringing and laughing your ass off.
I think
Brilliant.
I'm just going to pick this up. I really
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
play Stick of Truth, man.
Have you not played either?
No, just
Oh,
I
good.
came around here.
What
And
was
played
the
a
only
little bit. No, I played a little bit around here, and it just looks brilliant.
Yeah. Worth the price?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's almost like full game price, isn't it?
Well, definitely a full game. It's absolutely. I mean, it's earlier. It's past gen now.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
But
Compare
it doesn't
that.
need to be next gen. So
No.
I would absolutely pay that.
Oh, good.
But compare that to the price of Thief, which is like £52
Oh,
in
man.
most places.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
feel a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
paying for the next gen name there.
Especially when you play 10 hours and get a black screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
You've technically been robbed. The irony.
it almost makes it worth it.
No.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Kev?
What have you been playing?
Yeah.
Oh,
What
I've
have you
been,
been
sorry,
playing?
yeah. Obviously, Titanfall, probably won't go into that because we'll be here for like the next 7 hours. I've been playing Slender, the 8 pages, and Slender, the Arrival, because I wanted to, for the Horror Friday, I wanted to get a nice couple of games on the wraps, and I was thinking about Amnesia, and I was thinking about Slender. So I started on Slender, and I've never played it, but I tried playing it. First off, I'd actually made the mistake of reading loads on the internet about it before, and I kind of like, you do that thing where you build yourself up to like something, and it actually makes it kind of scarier than it should be.
Yeah,
I kind of did it with the Blair Witch Project. Before that came out, everyone was talking about it, and I kept reading about it, and then I was actually having nightmares about it before I even saw the film, and that's kind of what I got about Slender, the 8 pages. And then I finally played it, and I sat in the living room, like my girlfriend went to bed, put the headphones on, turned the lights off, and and that was it.
Headphones. It just makes it that much more intense. Than
Yeah, it does. It's got this
Can't hit
horrible.
anything but the game.
Yeah.
Have you played it?
No.
Oh, it's got this horrible noise. Like you have to collect. Basically, the context of the game is you have to collect 8 pages, and that's it. You start off in the woods with the torch, and you got to collect these 8 pages before you get got by this guy, this Slender thing.
Yeah.
It's just basically a guy in a suit, like with Donkey Kong arms
no face. Yeah.
and nothing happens. And you collect the first page, nothing. You collect the second page, and the headphones we wear, it's like. It's like, and it just keeps on doing that, and you just like walk around the woods, and the torch wasn't doing anything, but if it was, it would just be like I would just be like shaking, and finally I didn't actually get to 8 pages because I shit my pants and had to go to bed. But yeah, so I've got that ready for Friday, which is really, really cool. I've been playing Strider, which I downloaded, Xbox indie game from the Xbox One, which is. It's okay. It's just not my sort of game. It's I can appreciate the nostalgic sort of side-scrolling beat 'em up.
It looks like Ninja Gaiden, doesn't it? Like on the NES, the like old Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, it's like a 2D platform game.
Yeah.
3D graphics.
Yeah. The 3D graphics are actually really, really cool, and it runs brilliantly. But it's just not my sort of game. I would have preferred it to be this kind of side-scrolling sort of Streets of Rage thing where it's like you get through one section, then it's like, right, move on, and then you get to the next one, and you just keep on going. But it does this weird thing where you kind of have to go forward, and then you kind of have to backtrack, and then activate switches and like key cards like Doom style, and it just got a bit sort of... for me, a side-scrolling game like that should be quite fluent. You should be able to just move through it and just really enjoy every encounter and not have to backtrack. And the enemies were quite repetitive as well. Just hacking up the same old enemies over and over again.
For like 8 hours.
Yeah, for 8 hours. But then it's not my sort of game, so I can appreciate why people would be like, "Oh no, you just don't understand."
That's quite long for a game like that. You'd imagine it being like
8 hours,
2 or 3 hours tops or something.
Yeah,
it's like that'd be enough then, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there just wasn't enough variety in the enemies. There was more variety in the enemies in the first Sonic the Hedgehog than there are in the new Strider, which is disappointing. But yeah, so I've been playing that. Plants vs Zombies,
Oh,
which I did a review for, which was cool. I enjoyed playing that, but like again, it didn't last long.
Right.
It's kind of childish, but for the time that you're playing it, it's an absolute blast, and it was good because it kind of, like I said in the review, it kind of reminded me of that old school like zany humour that the Worms game had, which I kind of missed. Like I really want another Worms game.
Oh,
I want a classic Worms game though. I don't want it to look like the new cartoon Worms. I want it to look like the old Worms.
What, as in, I don't like the new Worms where there's a kind of new Worms.
They're like
game.
really big heads and they're all like, they look like comic book characters.
Yeah,
whereas the old Worms, I like that. Worms and Worms
reinforcements.
Reinforcements
Was.
Are worms and we have to win the war.
Yeah, with the little cutscenes and stuff.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's been a new Worms game announced for the 360 and the PS4 called Worms Battlegrounds.
Yeah,
and it's actually being done by Team 17, which is refreshing to hear. But I don't know if it's going to be on par with reinforcements. We'll see.
I'll still pick it up. I think I'm with you. I think a new Worms game is needed. Just to bring it out there.
Yeah.
Bringing out the woodwork.
Not try and be next gen. Just be Worms.
Yeah, be fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
So sweet.
Mr. Matthew?
Outlast. I finished that finally.
Do you know, I still haven't...
Cool.
I played that for the first 10 minutes when I literally downloaded it.
Me too.
And just put it in for 10 minutes just so I could kind of go, let's see what this is like.
I was about to say how many pairs of pants you get through.
And that was in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I got to the point where the guy was impaled.
I got past
Wow, that's like
The first 2 minutes.
seconds. Yeah,
and then I'm like, I'll just play it later. Yeah, that's all right. I'll come back to it.
I am going to go back to it because I've watched a couple of like people play it online.
Right, yeah.
And it does look good.
I obviously don't have any bowels because I
Powered through.
it just literally
Didn't bother
bounced off me.
You were just sick instead.
Obviously, at times, like it was cool, but like it just for me, it got really repetitive. Like we're talking about repetitive games. Like you got to a section, you're like, okay, this guy's gonna come now, because it got itself into a trap where the level design was a little bit cheap. Right. It's like it's not spoiling anything. Like when you find a bit where you can go through a section. And it's where you can escape a certain enemy, which is like the big guy.
Okay.
And he can't fit through, so you can just go, I'm gutted. But, it just got lazy like that. Every time you saw that, you're like, okay, the big guy's coming. And there was no shock.
So you could clearly define what was going to happen by the level layout. Is that
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm just kind of generalising. There were times where it was just like, Jesus.
Well,
so is that?
Do you not feel? Did you kind of feel like once you learnt how to get around enemies that it was quite?
Yeah, it was a very as soon as you learn the game's mechanics, which I learned pretty quickly, you can get through it with minimal scares, which pains me to say because I was really looking forward to Outlast. That was like
there
one
was
of the
that
games.
part that I've seen. I haven't played the bit obviously, but there's the part that I've watched somebody play through in the like almost like a prison cell bit.
Yeah,
and there's a guy that just sort of he's almost in like a straitjacket, and he looks like he's got like his eyes sewn shut and his mouth sewn shut, and he doesn't attack you. He just walks up to you and just stops, and you're like. Right, but then if you walk off and do something else around the level and don't turn around for a bit, but then turn around, he's like come back to you.
Yeah,
he just follows you.
There are certain bits
that would catch me out.
There are certain bits that are unsettling like that. I won't deny that at all.
It heavily relies on jump scares, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just jump scare, and therefore falls into a trap of being quite predictable, unfortunately. But it's charming and not charming. It's got a great atmosphere, but the ending is gobshite. And it's just like, just like the over-the-top action films. Like, it's got a cast like that. Right. So it's like, you can see, like, the fat man, he's just this massive, huge guy who just follows you everywhere. And there's these twin guys who have their dicks out, they go around naked, so I just call them willy men. And they just, like, walk around, just, like, trying to follow you around with, like, meat cleavers going, hey, we're completely naked, guys. And there's this wacko priest. There's just these just larger-than-life characters that just make it...
Characters.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly.
That can work. I think those sort of characters can work when it's done... Maybe not in a massively serious sense. Like Insidious, Insidious is really serious for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just tips into that comedy edge with some of those larger-than-life characters. And it excuses these things.
Just to break a bit of tension.
Yeah.
A few minutes.
That film went massively downhill for me when he starts. It does that horrible CGI moment where you see him like run along the side of the wall.
I must admit, I forgave a lot of the CG and terrible bits in that film because for me it was like the original Nightmare on Elm Street. It's a big budget horror film that just didn't have a big budget.
Yeah.
And I felt the sequel got the budget.
But Nightmare on Elm Street never had any bad CGI in it. It was all done.
It had really terrible extending arms and really,
that was actually kind of creepy.
Really terrible rubber legs at the end of the film when like Freddy's arm pulls Nancy's mum through the window.
That's awful.
That scene was like,
That's so
cut
bad.
to the rubber doll, and as she comes through the window, her legs go.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Although I did still prefer that to the horrible like CGI mirror scene at the end of the second one. Yeah, that wasn't as good.
So, what else have you been playing?
Finally doing a Battlefield 4 campaign. I've also been playing through them. So it's okay. That's all it is.
It's big.
That's all it is.
Just okay.
That's all
Lots
it
of
is.
explosions.
Yeah, it's just explosion,
It's a Michael Bay
explosion.
film.
Yeah,
But I like it because it was short enough. It was about 7 hours, and that was I did it in 7 hours, 7.5 maybe. And that was getting every collectible, so every weapon and every dog tag.
that's what I'm doing. I still haven't finished it yet, but that's what I'm doing. I'm doing all the collectibles. I'm doing it on hard as well, which isn't hard.
No,
It's
I did it
not
on hard. Yeah, I did it on hard. It's like whack-a-mole. It's very just pop up and shoot people, and that's literally all it is. It had the kind of with the Xbox One, it had the kind of cool thing, which is cool for like about 10 minutes, where you can actually say to the screen, engage. It's like engage, and they actually engage. You're like, wow, this is fantastic. But once you've done that like 10 times, it's like, nah, don't worry.
Tap RB.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the thing. I also find that you're incredibly overpowered in some bits.
Okay.
Like when you start getting the heavy explosive bits, you're just like done. And on hard, like come on, really? There are bits that are quite challenging. I think it's when you're trying to go to the airstrip and there's the tank bits, which I got a little bit frustrated with. At times it was a little bit broken sometimes, where it was just like
I got to a bit where to lay down mines or something, and that thing was quite early on.
Yeah,
really,
there was one moment in the game which went on forever, and it was
couldn't get past it.
It was when
I did get past it, but it took ages.
Yeah, there was one section where you come off like a boat. I can't remember which one. I think it's like you come off this like massive cruiser, and you jump in a boat, and you've got to like basically like go towards this other boat and shoot people on the way. But you kind of kill like these other people on the boat, and then you're just going for ages, and like my thumb was hurting after a while. So like you have to to boost the boat, you have to kind of like push forward on the thumbstick. And I was just like, God, when am I going to get there?
I love it when it's like, for boost, push L3, so you boost, and you can hear the boat go from like boost.
yeah.
Where's the boost? Am I boosting? Am I actually going any faster?
Yeah.
I can't quite tell.
Yeah, but that's what made me like push it down harder, because I was like, it's not working. I was like, but it is working. You're just not going any faster.
Yeah.
But what I really didn't like about the Battlefield single player was the lack of like any kind of strategic flanking.
Yeah.
Like they're like, you can get
very
in, like
linear, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really linear. It's just basically like a forward path. Like, even though when you look at like the scale of some of the levels, they're massive, but you're always just going in a straight line. There's no like, they're coming from the left, like we have to go to the right, and the AI doesn't think for itself. It just comes out, they all come out in a group and just stay there and shoot. They don't kind of like...
It's the whole Call of Duty thing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so bored of Call of Duty.
It's like shooting paper mache pop-ups.
Yeah.
I think we said this
They might as
before.
well go...
I think we said this before. We won't go too much into it, but we're just calling for like a multiplayer style Battlefield single player experience.
Exactly.
Just massive open world,
if it was-
like a war, basically.
Yeah, if it was literally just like you are against the computer, but you team up with other people online, and you literally have to. You have a giant area, and level is you just have to get you through.
Because that's the
Yeah.
multiplayer, isn't it? That is basically the multiplayer experience to a degree.
Yeah, but like it's not. It's still like all over the place. all
Yeah,
the time,
but I want like
I mean,
specific
like,
objectives. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I want our team to overpower this base, then maybe we get overpowered, maybe have to back up, then
So I'll tell
you
you-
take that oil refinery,
That's
then
what
you
I
go
want.
around.
That would
and
be
then
incredible. That would be.
Brink.
But Brink was
That
good.
is a very, very
But
basic
not so linear.
version of that.
Not so linear. Like big areas. Like
Titanfall.
Yeah,
But Titanfall's not big
it's not
enough.
big enough. It's
Yeah,
not big
yeah.
enough.
Damn it.
The trouble is, though,
It's the man.
I think when I think it comes down to design and experience, I guess. And if you've got a game that's too big, you run the risk of running or doing something for ages, getting somewhere, and then dying, and then being like, what the hell was the point of
Well,
that?
just
Just-
spawn to your mates or something.
Yeah, but it kind of seems like
Yeah.
you need to get a balance right, because it's like, I can't remember who it was, but I was watching something the other day, and someone said, you know, people keep saying, oh, they want games to be more realistic, or they want games to be more this, and it's like, well, you don't want too much of that in a game. And the example they used was like, imagine playing Grand Theft Auto and having to stop to fill up with gas.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, it'd be
They
like
actually thought about doing
how
that, didn't they?
mundane would that be, or you know, or having a policeman pull you
Yeah.
over for turning left when you weren't allowed to. You know, and I think with things like
That's exhilarating.
the idea of things like Battlefield and stuff, like, yes, the campaign shouldn't be so linear, but at the same time, if they were these enormous, expansive, hugely online team battles, it would basically be like World of Warcraft, where you can kind of go anywhere and do anything you want, but in first person, but also run the risk of spending all this time doing one thing to then completely guff it up, and then just
Arguably, that's what Destiny's going to be.
Yeah.
maybe they've got something up their sleeves.
Yeah,
This
I
is
think they
coming-
have.
I think this is
I don't
coming from a
mean-
developer.
I don't mean like a massive world. I just mean like a big stage
So-
of a
so-
level.
yeah,
so there's
so-
still
yeah.
boundaries of the level, but it's just a lot bigger scale.
So
Gives
think
you
of
the
like,
options of how you want to go through
so
it.
think of like the Conquest maps.
Yeah.
Just having a single. I don't know.
I'm just kind of bored of the modern shooter linear single player experience, and I just kind of I refuse to buy any more. I just want some until they do something more.
refuse.
I think Halo.
Titanfall's
Fuck off.
Yeah, Titanfall is closest,
Fuck
I
off.
think, to getting that balance right. But what would be really cool is Halo's Forge mode. Imagine that, but you could actually create it as in like a level.
Yeah.
So not a multiplayer level, but like a Forge mode where you can actually create your own single player level and post them online with like artificial intelligence inside that can actually navigate its way around the place.
But-
Really, what we want
Wait.
here is we want Project Spark mixed with Little Big Planet's customization, mixed with Battlefield and Halo 4.
And Titanfall.
We're not asking for much. We're not asking for much.
Why isn't it so
Come
easy?
on, guys. Come on. Let's get on with it. And lastly, I've been playing Rust.
Okay, sweet.
You've
Yeah.
been telling us about this. I
Yeah.
really
Still
wanna
going.
give
It's
that
still
a go.
fun. Still really good.
So, how are you surviving?
I've died a couple of times.
So did you lose everything when you died?
Yeah.
So it's very much like Demon Souls. Then,
You
in
heard
the
about
sense of-
Rust?
Yeah, with the eat meter.
Yeah.
And,
Eat
and
meat,
then you
rad
start with a
meat,
rock.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool. I like it a lot.
So do you
I
team
play.
up with other people now? Like,
Yeah. I keep meaning to play with friends, but I keep missing them, so I'm kind of just playing on my own at the moment. But I will get around to it. My mate and another one of his mates have got like this huge building that they're just like defending and stuff.
So-
And like they've got these really cool like security measures where they've done like a door, stairs up like 30 levels, and then they just live on the top and they just snipe people. It's
Like a little
brilliant.
paradise at
Yeah,
the top
it's
there.
amazing. So yeah, I want to get on some of that action. But
How many people can you get into the world? Like,
at the moment, I actually don't know the answer to that question. I should know the answer to that question, but it depends. There's so many servers, and the most I've ever really seen is kind of like 12, 13. But I don't really play at the sociable kind of time.
I'd rather it be a small number, to be more intimate, and actually feel a little bit more personal, as opposed to just like an absolute mess of like
Yeah,
hundreds
like
of
you
people.
really want to
I
know
thought
the
you were
people
say
that
like
you're going to
60
like.
people or something. I thought you were going to say.
I think it'd be good though, because you really want to know the people that you're going to like murder.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rust is cool, and I'll continue playing that. I think for
Sweet.
quite a while.
Nice.
But, so that's what we've been playing.
Wickets.
We'll move on to the news. Le news. GDC is going on right now.
Yeah.
Some stuff is happening. We'll talk about the main meat and bones of that in a bit, because we'll talk about a certain technology that may or not be VR
Related.
in a little bit in depth and give our thoughts and what we want from it.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, we'll go for some other stuffs. So as we've not really had a podcast in a while, again, stuff happens. It's the games industry. So I think in previous podcasts we've talked about Watch Dogs quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that has now got a release date, which is the 27th of May.
Sweet.
Which is a lot sooner than I thought. I thought the delay would be August.
Yeah,
I genuinely thought it was going to be sort of autumn, fall time.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do it in the fall sort of release date, but
Well, my
I'm glad
interest has come full circle.
It
with that,
has.
Because I was just super enthused. I couldn't get enough of it. And then I just got really bored of it and didn't want to play it at all. Now I want to really play it again.
But it was
No.
You disagree?
No.
The news-
I'm still.
The news
I'm gonna
on
play
Watch
that
Dogs
game,
was
so
so overkill though. Like we heard about Watch Dogs like 2 years before
Anything.
they even announced the new console.
Yeah, they were like, everyone was like, there has to be next gen, man. No, it's not next gen, guys. It is next gen.
it is.
Yeah. My only worry for it is the fact that it's coming out on 360 and PS3, which again makes me kind of go, is it going to be held back because it's being developed primarily for something with the idea that it's going to be converted in mind?
I mean, look, the thing for me is, I'm down on it for my own reasons, but I kind of like saw the new trailer like trying with a fresh open mind, and the thing that got me was when Watch Dogs was introduced, it was like, oh, this really cool tech fest, like really cool, all this kind of stuff, and then the trailer's like, they took something away from me.
Yeah.
And now I've got to take the city back with my mobile phone. It's like we've heard this story in several different guises before. What is this garbage? Like,
It does
why?
look like it is going to be pretty much generic, like functionality from that phone as well. It's not going to be like anything that varied.
It's not going to be quite as intuitive as I think we were initially led to believe it could be.
I mean, many people may say I'm missing the point here, and it's all about how you interact with the world or whatever. And it's like, well, to a certain extent, yes, but then why not just make a sandbox game where you can fuck with stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of me does think that like if it is coming out you say it's coming out on the 360 and the Xbox One.
Yeah, 360, PS3, PS4, Xbox One.
Yeah,
And there is a Wii U version.
Eventually.
See, part of me thinks that like if it's coming out on all those consoles, why has it been delayed so long? If they've been like coding it and making it for last gen consoles,
they were
why?
having some trouble with multiplayer, weren't they? Initially, they said they were having some trouble with the multiplayer.
It also could have been the release of
It's
Assassin's Creed 4
just
as well.
it's just been loads of.
didn't want it to
I
compete.
think that is probably.
I bet the multiplayer is
major
going to be so hit or miss though with that sort of game because it looks very story driven and that kind of game I don't think multiplayer wise it's going to work. No. It's like with Tomb Raider, fantastic game, amazing single player game. They threw in a multiplayer, did it work? No. Dead Space 2, fantastic single player game. Threw in a multiplayer, did it work? Jesus Christ, no, it was awful. But so I think Watch Dogs, I can't say now because it's not out, but I'd like to look back on this podcast once it's come out and then be like, yeah.
The thing is, like, I'm now a massive walking contradiction. I'll say why in a sec. Okay. But I'm tiring very much of sandboxes right now. Right. And I never thought I'd say that because sandbox is one of my favourite genres. Having said that, walking into the contradiction, I can't wait for Infamous Second Son. But that's a different kind of whatever.
You look at what you can do with Infamous Second Son. Just some of that gameplay footage that's out at the moment. Watching what's the character's name?
Delson.
Yeah. Delson. Watching him like leap off the top of a building and then just like turn into that like UV
Electro
neon
dubstep.
stuff.
and then have it like shoot up. Yeah.
Oh please have a dubstep power, please. It's like in Saints Row with the dubstep gun.
Yeah, it's exactly it. It's the same effect.
It'd be so amazing.
But just being able to do that, it just instantly becomes like it becomes something else. You know, it might be a sandbox game, but it's got another element to it that makes it enjoyable. Like Assassin's Creed, you know, the whole wall parkouring and running across.
Parkour.
Titanfall.
But like running across the rooftops, that's Assassin's Creed for me.
Yeah.
It gives it that little extra element. So I'm excited for Infamous. I'm definitely going to be picking it up.
Yeah.
I think one of the main reasons that I was excited for Watch Dogs again is just how good Assassin's Creed 4 was. I know it's like different teams. Obviously, it's still Ubisoft and stuff, but I'm hoping that they bring that same standard to Watch Dogs as they have done for Assassin's Creed. They've really turned that series around. So I'm just
apart from the Division,
ready for it.
every type of Ubisoft game is now interchange within teams.
Yeah.
So like when you say it's a different team, not really anymore.
Really, okay.
They can't each like Shanghai, Montreal, Toronto, France, England.
Well, that gives you more confidence in it.
Everyone does a little bit in each game. So
I'm hoping they bring that same standard to it. Well, just like they've said that they're not going to do an Assassin's Creed in modern day times, like as in all in modern day times. So this is probably why
This is a massive segue then.
Really?
You were just saying about Assassin's Creed. We don't usually like to report on rumours. We kind of hate them, but we like to talk about them on podcasts. We don't like to publish them. But however, there's a report today that suggests that there are 2 new Assassin's Creed games coming out this year.
Right. So this goes on
there
said before.
There are separate games. One for old gen, one for new gen.
Yeah, they said they were going to do this, didn't they?
Yeah.
I still think it's a terrible idea.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah, it doesn't feel with confidence.
Apparently one is set in 18th century Paris, which is interesting. But, I was really just wanting another pirate game. But I think...
would that not be the
But then again, that I kind of just want maybe just a spin-off pirate game. Not even just be an Assassin's Creed, just pirates or something.
Yeah.
Just a cool pirate game.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
A new Curse of Monkey Island, that's what we need.
Yeah, we need more Monkey Island. We just need more point-and-click adventures.
Yeah, no, I actually think they're like kind of the way forward.
I love point-and-click adventures.
Yeah.
God damn. Anyway, we won't bang on about Assassin's Creed. We've got, keeping with Ubisoft, GDC footage of The Division and the Snowdrop engine has hit again. Another podcast, The Division talk. I just want to play it now, please.
Yeah.
It's slowly becoming a little bit more into Watch Dogs territory with just how much they're giving and, when are they going to release it. So it looks impressive. What more can we really say about it other than it looks damn sexy? The fact that it's an MMO technically is hugely impressive with what they're doing with the tech and the graphics and everything. So
awesome.
Give it to me right now, please.
In the face.
No.
Oh, right, the kiss.
In the face.
Okay, moving on to Sony news. They've announced that future firmware updates will allow PS4 video editing.
Woo! So we actually can record some stuff.
And a little thing called HDCP, switching it off, so that means that we can capture.
It's a bit of a weird one because it's an on-off switch for it apparently.
Yeah.
Why would you want to turn it on again? I don't get that. Like, just turn it off.
As long as it's not as restrictive as the Upload Studio.
Yeah. So
Colin got in trouble with that.
supposedly, bad form.
Bad form, Peter.
But supposedly, you can capture onto your PS4 and then share it to a USB stick as well, which is like
Nice.
kind of cool for people who don't have capture cards.
Mm-hmm.
You can still stick things on YouTube.
It's
I don't
nice
know
that they're
what
doing things this early on in the
Yeah,
day.
I mean, I don't know what the quality will be like. I don't know how long you'll be able to capture for. Obviously, beauty of having a capture card is you can do it as long as you've got a
Space.
hard drive space. Exactly.
So I think they're slowly
Yeah.
bringing around all the features
It's a nice feature
that
It's
everyone
cool.
wanted from the event, the launch events and stuff.
Sweet,
So we're going to start seeing some of the promises that were made.
cool.
Um,
They've been teasing a little bit of PlayStation Now, haven't they, by accident?
yes.
Accident.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
all these things that are leaked.
Yeah.
You know, I genuinely think these things are popped out there by these companies to kind of go, let's test the water,
Yeah.
push it live for 10 seconds, let's see what happens. Because there's always some nutter who's
Yeah.
waiting there with
Oh, well,
bated
let's-
breath and goes, there it is, I saw it.
Well, let's talk about it then. I mean, I'm happy with that.
I think it's a
Happy with the
great
price.
idea.
Yeah.
I just,
Prices are
I
cool.
hope, I hope the price stays extremely low because you don't. What I don't want to do is have to pay out for PS Plus, Xbox Live, and then have to pay out for PlayStation Now, and it'd be just all of a sudden I'm paying like £20 a month.
It's
For,
unbelievable how much they all stack up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah,
and
love
some
them.
as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like before you know it, half your paycheck's out the window through all these
subscriptions.
Yeah, subscriptions.
But the thing is, the more I've got this at the moment is like you get so many subscriptions that you think you can keep track of them, and then like you actually forget that you've got them,
like-
and it gets to like the end of the month, and you're like, right, I've got this much money left, and then it's like, oh wait, no, you got this coming out and that coming out. It's like,
I'm still subscribed to like Final Fantasy 14. I just haven't played that game in about 4 months. And I'm like,
Cancel.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, the thing is, when it comes out for PS4, I can then import that character.
Oh, will
and I
you?
think I'm right in saying that it's going to be a free upgrade for me.
You may have to
Is
pay
it £10?
£10 for the upgrade.
I think they might have said for Final Fantasy that it's free if you've got it. I think,
I think so.
but we'll have a look. I can't verify it
Yeah.
right now.
Cool.
That's
Right
fine.
then. Next, we have news that finally Microsoft are catching up with the whole indie game.
Yes.
So,
Worthy of a trumpet.
when we're recording this, I think it was Tuesday that they started. We're reeling out 25 different indie titles.
Great. That's great.
Yeah, cool.
Mind you, some of those are like remakes from the past.
Yeah,
So,
we got Guacamelee and Contrast.
Yeah, that's right.
Dive Kick. What's the Dive Kick one called? It's something stupid. Like,
Dive Kick Edition.
Addition edition.
Love that.
refined,
Brilliant.
definitive edition.
Yeah, there's a couple of Kinect games on there too. But yeah, it's great. It's
I think
great
it's
for
an
the.
awesome thing.
Yeah, of course it is. You know,
It's nice to have the variety to try and work through before they probably release more.
Yeah.
So you'll actually probably only get through like half of them, and they'll actually more will come out. So you'll forever be trying to catch up with the new releases. That's the way it should be. But
yeah,
The thing with like indie games is they're always. I think people that don't play them genuinely don't know what they're missing. And it's not until you get a cracking little game like Resogun, you know,
I want to play that game.
oh, dude, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I
and
heard.
all it is just such a simple shooter, but it's just addictive and brilliant. And all of a sudden, you've got a game that costs hardly anything that you plough so many hours into. You know, maybe I can link this into lengths of games.
oh, you're talking about Metal Gear.
Yeah, so maybe you can go for like how much is Resogun on the PS Store? Is it like what, £12?
It's £12 now.
Same as
Yeah.
Strider.
£12. I'm sure I saw it at one point for like $5.99. But these games range between nothing if you've got PS Plus and £12 brand new versus something like, we'll say, leading into it now, Metal Gear 5.
We always have to bring it up, don't
We
we?
always
it.
do.
I think this
always.
is
It's just a
probably
2.5 hour Metal Gear 5. Or...
I think this
Wow.
is the fifth
This is the
podcast
10
running.
minutes long.
Where we've
Oh,
mentioned
yeah.
it. Like we've progressively, as we've been talking about it in each podcast, it tends to the news gets worse and worse and worse. And I think this is probably like the bottom of the barrel shit stain that it could get to now. You know, in the fact that a couple of months ago it was like, you know, you can complete this game in 2.5 hours, and it's going to cost you 30 quid, and that just seems like terrible value for money. They then went, oh, actually, we're going to charge you 25 quid for PS4. And like, oh, okay, that's much more reasonable. And then it's released today that if you just mission through it and know exactly what you're doing, you can smash it out in 10 minutes.
Yeah, you can skip all the cutscenes.
I don't. It's just it's the speed run stuff.
It is speedrun.
But I don't know really much you can buy into that.
But speed running Super Mario 1 on the NES takes 15 minutes? I think the world record is.
Jesus.
And that's using level warps. You know, that's not actually completing levels. That's just using level warps. Speed running this game, you're not warping. You're not cheating. You're just getting it done.
It's just, you know,
that just screams not.
I do think that
there's no cheating involved. You still have to go from point A to point B, or whatever. But obviously, you know, it's classic, you know, Metal Gear, where there's just so much cutscene content and stuff. And this obviously that's not including side missions, which there are 5 side missions, I think. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it.
Everybody will. I'm pretty sure there's not one.
I just think if you can speed test a game that fast, the actual entirety of the game can't be that big. So even to play it, you know, like taking your time, is it still worth?
But I think they have said that this is a prelude to Metal Gear 5.
Yeah,
Phantom
it's a
Pain.
tutorial essentially. But Phantom Pain isn't coming out till next year.
No.
Yeah.
So why release it now? And also they're saying that Metal Gear 5 is going to be like 200 times bigger than Ground Zeroes. So that's not really giving me much.
So 15 minutes longer.
Yeah, it's not giving me much confidence as how big Ground Zeroes is going to be, you know, and what they're going to do with it. But I'm not watching anything on it. I'm not looking at anything.
Don't.
I'm just going to wait and experience it, and I'm not going to give it too much judgment just yet. I'm just going.
Well, no, exactly. You can't
gonna
judge
play
it too much, but
Yeah.
you know, it's like one of these things, isn't it? Go in with the lowest expectation that you could possibly have,
And it literally couldn't be any lower right now. So, yeah.
and then you know it might actually be.
I
really
might
good.
find something I like in it. So yeah.
Can we stop playing about Metal Gear now?
Yeah.
No.
It's the 5th podcast in a row. I think I've counted that
Well,
right.
it comes out the next couple of days. So
What does?
Metal Gear. Oh.
Hardcore.
Hardcore.
Let's talk about a topic that's sure to get a nice little conversation going. Last of Us film.
What?
Last of Us film.
Last of Us film.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I mean, I had this discussion with somebody on Facebook, and you know, someone put out, you know, if there's one game that did not need a film, it's The Last of Us. And while I kind of agree with that, because The Last of Us is extremely cinematic and so engaging as a game that you don't really need it to be a film to make it something that it already is, I did kind of say, well, I think it will be a really good film. If it's done right, it's going to be scripted by the dude that wrote Last of Us.
Okay.
They're going to have Naughty Dog are going to have a huge involvement in the actual production of the film. So already you've got the creative team that, you know, the one thing that The Last of Us is that makes it so good is the script and the story. And if you've got the dude who scripted the game, writing the screenplay for the film, it's instantly got half the battle done because it needs to be good.
Yeah.
But the one thing that that this could do is if people watch this film and it is flat out brilliant, people will then hopefully kind of go, you know, when you start reading stuff and start reading reviews, people that maybe don't play games, people who still just think computer games are just Call of Duty and, you know, Mario and Sonic and, you know, all the stuff that people seem to remember of gaming. If they watch this and then kind of go, oh my god, that was based on a computer game? Like, what the hell?
Well, I thought
computer games?
that about the Super Mario Brothers movie. I mean,
I think the thing is the problem.
Max Payne?
Yeah, I mean that's
And
just
I have-
genius.
Well-
It's genius.
Just before we run too far with it as well, I just really want to throw out the one thing that I have an immense amount of encouragement with is the team that are behind it. You know, this is going to be done by Ghost House Pictures, which is Sam Raimi's production.
oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
And while Sam Raimi shouldn't direct it because ultimately his directorial style will not suit this film at all, what Sam Raimi is phenomenal at, and you can see that with the Evil Dead remake, is he will be able to find a team that can make something brilliant.
Yeah.
He didn't want Evil Dead to look
suitable for that.
Yeah, he wanted the
thing.
Evil Dead remake to be, faithful to his movie, but not his movie. And he found Fede Alvarez, who made an incredibly good modern Evil Dead film. And I think Sam Raimi has the ability to kind of go, right, this is what this game needs, this is what I'm going to go and find.
Yeah.
I have a lot of support. It's got everything so far as a big tick in the box, keeping the creative people involved, getting somebody who can make a good film involved, and somebody who won't cut a corner as well. Like, Evil Dead was a really hard 18 film.
But the Evil Dead came out a bloody long time ago, and it almost felt like it was warranted to be remade because it had like a kind of a cult following, whereas The Last of Us is just so recent that I'm not sure a film is quite warranted.
But it's only recent because we're gamers and we love it. And like, how many units? Maybe we'll look it up in a minute. Maybe if someone could look it up, how many units The Last of Us has actually shifted?
6 million.
Okay, so 6 million physical units that people have played, and yet you look at a massive Hollywood production film and how many people see that. These films make billions at the box office.
But it's whether it will ruin it or not, isn't it?
I don't think it will. I think it will aid.
Well, even if it goes that far, dude. Don't forget, we've been here many, many times before.
We have.
Many, many, many times before.
We have, but normally it's with something that people have not been able to think how it can be done cinematically with a constrained budget. Like BioShock, we've spoken about the BioShock movie before in podcast. It's again another game that I thought would make an excellent film, and it would make people go, "Oh my god, this is what computer games are like now." Like, you've got these incredible stories, these rich universes, and all this stuff, and you can play this because there are people out there that don't think you can do that in a computer game. There are some people out there that still think computer games cannot compete with cinema, and The Last of Us is a prime example of how it can actually be better than cinema, because not only is it something that you don't just sit there and passively take part in, it's something that you actively take part in. You make a choice, you decide how you're going to do this bit, and
So how is that going to translate into a film?
But that's the game experience. That's what you want as a gamer. When you go and watch a film, you want a film to be, above anything, you want it to be entertaining, and then dependent upon what type of entertainment you're going to get is going to determine what experience you want from that film. And the most intense parts of The Last of Us, aside from being the atmosphere when you're walking around trying not to get attacked by a clicker, some of the most heart-wrenching parts in that game were the cutscenes and the script and what's happening.
Definitely the most hard-hitting.
And I think that's where the film will really, really pay off.
Here's hoping.
Yeah,
here's hoping.
Definitely.
All right. Well, we won't go so intense with this last news piece. Amazon and Google appear to be making the strides towards a console presence.
Oh, I've seen the Amazon controller.
Yeah.
It looks very much like a 360 controller, but very blocky.
I haven't seen this.
Yeah,
you know the OnLive, the OnLive controller.
No.
You know that system you got at Eurogamer a couple of years ago that no one's played since? Do you remember?
No.
Yeah,
Oh.
I remember. Yeah.
You remember?
Have a look.
At all, man.
See if we can find a photo.
Yeah. But anyway, they've kind of released a picture of a controller. It's pretty boring.
Speaking of that, like at the same time, sorry.
No, go for it, dude.
Going with this new controller thing, the new Steam controller design. You seen that?
Very good.
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah,
I like
right,
it.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
I
think it's
didn't
quite good.
dislike the old one too much, but I think the idea of having 4 buttons in a very central location is much better than having 2, 2, 2, 2.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't have the 4 buttons separated for both thumbs. You have your right thumb for your buttons and your left thumb for your analog stick.
Oh, Jesus!
That's it. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
I'll tell you what that looks like. It looks like an Xbox One controller mixed with a Wii U Pro controller.
Yeah, it looks like a Pro controller. It also looks exactly like an OnLive controller.
I think that just looks like an Xbox One controller, if I'm honest. It looks like a squared Xbox One
It just
controller.
looks very.
Even the
They've
D-pad
just
looks like Xbox
chiseled
One.
it so
Look at
that it's
I'm
like
sorry,
right angles.
no, I'm not having
Yeah,
that.
yeah. What the exact
The
sort
buttons
of?
are exactly the
Yeah.
same as an Xbox One controller.
Yeah, they haven't even got the writing on the controller. Probably.
I'm sure they've just modelled that off of an Xbox controller.
Yeah, it's
Bad form, Amazon.
So yeah, they it looks like both Google and Amazon are going to be releasing dongle
Okay.
consoles.
Getting ahead of the sort of PlayStation Now.
Yeah, so you not
these-
only being able to stream games, it would be able to stream movies. All that
The
kind of stuff.
dongle is for the controller, though, isn't it? That would make sense because you might as well just download an app.
Yeah.
But the dongle would be the receiver for the controller.
Yeah, it'd be able to
I just,
receive everything.
this might just be me being.
So this is the start of this is the beginning of the end for the consoles, really, isn't it? Like this.
Well,
this
we
probably was sort of talking
said
about-
that we said it was going to happen.
Yeah,
It's going to
exactly.
happen eventually.
Yeah.
It's going to happen eventually.
It's,
Whether we like
it's
it
all
or
gonna
not.
be cloud, and it's going to be basically what brand of controller do you like to buy, or something like that.
Yeah.
You know.
And it'll be
I just-
Skynet, and then
And then we'll go into hiding, and then
Yeah,
then we won't have anything, and we'll have to go back to the Mega Drive, mind you, or that console now that you can get that has all
Everything.
of them in one.
That's
oh yeah,
Invest now
Before we-
for the future before Skynet. I guess.
Before we leap off the idea too much, I think it's just such a wasteful idea. Like Amazon, all they do is ship other people's products.
Which is why they've got
they
a
have
love
their
film
own,
and
like, you know,
Yeah, they bought Love Film. It's not as if it's something they.
Well, of course they
There's a-
didn't, but
they've
they've acquired it.
yeah, they've got their own market.
Same with Google acquiring YouTube.
Yeah, which is
Amazon
that's
MP3,
fine if you're gonna.
They've got the books. They've got Love
I
Film
will
now.
give
they've
Amazon
got, you know,
the one product I will give them for being their own thing is the Kindle. Really good idea because that's the one thing that they probably sell a lot of is books. Brilliant, but I just don't see the need for them to then try and do what other companies are kind of better at doing,
Ouya.
excluding
what?
Ouya.
That's Android based.
That's basically what they're doing.
It's just the Android
It's just
marketplace,
an
right.
And if they're
Android.
going to do
market.
that, then that's absolutely fine because that's such a throwaway game culture that it just beggars belief.
But
Steam. I may not be the biggest advocate of a Steam box, but or just the Steam thing in general because I don't game on a personal computer or whatever. But it just seems like they're gonna pump loads and loads and loads of money and acquire loads and loads and loads of stuff so that they can try and compete with a company like Valve, who unfortunately just know exactly what they're doing and have been doing it for decades. You know, we're not talking about like Nintendo who aren't keeping up with people. We're talking about a company that are at the forefront of PC, Mac gaming. And Google and Amazon, regardless of how big they are, they don't actually offer anything in terms of a particular product.
No.
If that makes sense. Like Google's product is its search engine.
Yeah,
it's just coming around
companies
to a
that, like,
massive
Google
corporate.
acquired
Yeah,
as
they're
well.
they're,
But it's
they're
not something
corporate
that
engines.
Google offer, is
They're
it?
corporate engines.
Yeah,
that's all it
this
is.
is exactly it.
And-
All they can do is just acquire other people's ideas and try and compete
exploit
with
them.
Yeah, but then they can try and compete with the company. I think it's not a great idea. You know?
Well, what Amazon are doing now, they've acquired several studios, including Double Felix, who did Killer Instinct. They actually acquired them. They've acquired several
It's
big
definitely doomed to
veterans.
fail if they're acquiring companies that make terrible games.
It's true. It's true.
Not only have you ripped off an Xbox controller, you've actually bought a company that made a really bad game.
But it just shows their intent. The fact
make
that
terrible games.
no, they've got some really really talented developers joining their games market. So
It'll
I
just come down
it
to,
was-
in the end, that
surprised
there'll
me.
be exclusivity rights for games on each of these platforms, and it's just what game
And
you
again,
want to play.
it's just
and
the-
subscribe to that service, or subscribe to all of them, and you get to play.
But again, it's just the oiled corporate machine because whether Amazon have a marketplace share or whether they have a product is irrelevant because what they're doing is they're stating their intent and then grabbing companies like Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo by the balls because they, well, we also sell your consoles, so just gonna do this.
Cradle them for a bit.
But the trouble is, I think this could. I mean, this is probably going to go way off topic now. So let's go on one of our tangents.
All right, let's do this.
Doing
Pop
that.
off.
Pop off. Doing that, I think would be an interesting move because for somebody like Amazon who can basically all Amazon can do. And I know that what they can do is it has a lot of weight, but all they can do is throw money at something.
Mm-hmm.
But there's only so much money you can throw at something before if it doesn't start giving you a return, that it becomes a bad investment. If you invest a lot of money badly, you end up in Nintendo's era where they are now. They've invested a lot of money in things that aren't quite working. Now, if they say to Sony and Microsoft, aside from the fact that our main thing is selling your stuff, what are you going to do about it? If they then go, we just won't sell it through you then. Okay, ultimately, a lot of our sales go through you. But what we'll do then is we'll just basically go out and support bricks and mortar companies. We'll go out to GameStop. We'll go to Sainsbury's, Asda, Walmart. We're going to basically flood these people with our product and make it available so people can go and get it now at the same price that you can sell it for.
But I'm not entirely sure they will because I think this will eventually bring round the advent of getting rid of physical game sales.
This is it.
But eventually, by then, like Sony have already started prepping it, haven't they?
For
basically
PlayStation
with PlayStation Now, which is going to be available on televisions. So they've already got a service that's coming out, arguably in the next 12 months, maybe. Possibly this year.
Probably.
It's this year in America.
Beta
it's
testing
June, July
now,
in
isn't
America.
it?
Yeah, it is actually betaing now. So they've got a product that's almost ready to go from a reputable company who are already shifting millions of units in the spaces of months. Now, Amazon are a big beast, and I don't doubt that they're going to have a very good stab at this. But I still think taking on games companies at their own game is not going to work. It's like I don't know. It's like Sony deciding that they're going to start up a marketplace company where people can go and buy books and clothes and underpants and hygiene products. It wouldn't work because people don't go to Sony for that. They go to Amazon for that. And I do think there is going to be a culture of people, a lot of people that will not go to Amazon the game. There are to use like the PC elitists and the console elitists as really good examples. The hardcore console fans tend not to dip into the PC arena, and the PC arena don't own a console because they're set on a particular product, and there's millions of those people ready to go right now. And I still think the millions of PC users probably wouldn't shift to Amazon because they've already got a great reputable service called Steam.
Of course.
That just works perfectly by a company who make games, who make amazing games. I don't know. It's difficult. Maybe Amazon and Google will just come out and floor the world, but I don't think that there's much more they can do other than basically Rupert Murdoch, the games industry.
I think
And
the
as soon
only
as
thing
you
they've got going for them is early investment in it.
Yeah, I mean, also there's this is a massive side tangent. We won't go on much longer, I promise. That the fact that they've now entered, obviously with Love Film, but they've also entered the TV space. An interesting acquisition I saw the other day was that a very popular BBC show was cancelled called Peaky Blinders, I think. What was the other one? No, Ripper Street. It was cancelled by BBC. Amazon acquired the rights, and then BBC were like, "Oh, okay, you can fund it now. All right, we'll have it back on our station, but after you." So like 3 months after. So this kind of thing, sort of like TV, and I'm sure they'll make films eventually. It'll happen.
Oh, yeah.
So like this is it's just an interesting shift that they can just get all their horribly dangly octopus arms into every little pot and just go, yeah, I love that.
But then again, I still think there's companies that are doing that already. That kind of, I don't know, because they could just. The thing with Amazon and Google is both of them. They could just basically just buy whatever they want.
They can monopolise everything because they have more money than Nintendo, Sony, and arguably Microsoft combined.
But this is the trouble though. Like, people are now smarter than they were 10 years ago. And people now know, now that, especially in America, now that the Americans are slowly coming around to the idea that actually Rupert Murdoch owns all of your news channels, which is why that you tend to get a one-sided view of the news when you come to the UK. You've got The Sun, The Guardian, The Daily Mail, and that's just the newspapers. And then you've got, ITV News, Sky News, BBC News, each news channel giving you a slightly varied opinion on the news, because that is what news should be. News should be your opinion of what is happening right now. And that is the one thing that I think people are slowly starting to come around to, which is why people aren't sticking to their one news source for news now. They go to a variety of news sources and then form an opinion. And this is the danger that Amazon and Google will have by bombarding money at stuff, monopolising it, because then people will kind of go, well, why aren't we getting a fair shot at this? Why do we have to come to you for everything?
Also, just look at like the whole supermarket thing, how all those big, Tesco and Sainsbury's and all that kind of stuff, the uprise of it. And then now it's actually going to the point where people prefer to go to the niche specialist shops.
Aldi and Lidl, man.
What I mean is, though, but it's going back to, almost like the high street shops are almost having an uprise again of, specialist boutique things. People prefer to go to that place because they're experts in that thing, where, it might happen with this kind of thing with the internet, like those big companies, they might have their tentacles spread thin across, but they're not doing a very good job of all these different things. Where you can just go to Steam and they know.
Here's your game. It's almost better to do one thing perfectly than a million things half-assed.
And one thing that is securing Sony and Microsoft and Steam and all that kind of stuff is the indie sort of platform for them as well. I mean, who's to say what Amazon are going to do? But the fact that you can make a game yourself and submit it to these companies.
Project Spark.
Exactly. Yeah.
Woo! I will say though, there are a lot of companies, and especially game developers, that probably would like to stay loyal to gaming companies. There are a lot of people out there, and this is why I still have faith in mankind, because there are a lot of people out there that don't bite the hand that feeds them. If somebody gives you a really big break, like an indie developer, Sony come over along and kind of go, that is a great idea. We're going to put that on the network. We want it exclusive for PlayStation, and we're going to fund you, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. That developer will more likely than if Amazon come along and go, oh, for your next game, we'll double what they're offering you. Come work with us. There are developers out there that will go, no, we're all right, thanks. We're quite happy with Sony. Or I'm quite happy with Microsoft.
Just look at Naughty Dog. They're not indie, but they've had ample opportunity to go elsewhere, but they won't because they like the deal with Sony, and they always will.
Sometimes it may not be more money.
Sometimes they're not in for the money, though, are they?
No, exactly, and that is, I think that's the point that I just couldn't find the words for. For some people, it isn't about how much money they can make; it's about the satisfaction that they can have by having the freedom to create the things that they want. And I sincerely hope that that's what sticks, because the one thing that we've said numerous times in the last 10 minutes that Google and Amazon can do is they can just say, here's all this money, come work for us. And I hope that there are people out there that will go, no thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
Well, lastly then, we'll have a quick talk about the big news of GDC. Everything has been coming round to this, and we're talking about the future of gaming. And the future of gaming is increasingly looking to be, obviously, not only digital, but VR, virtual reality.
Yeah.
Oculus Rift has been around for quite a while already. I have one. It's very cool. Sony, I've been saying for a while that they've got one coming. And GDC, they delivered. There it was. Not very much in details, but it looks cool.
Project
Morpheus. What can we expect from this origin? Machine!
These machines for 400 years! Sorry.
You are the one.
I absolutely love that speech.
He is the one.
Nice.
So
The smell.
It's the smell.
Matrix farts. Before we go in, everyone just check out on YouTube. Matrix farts. It's that. It's the smell. It's brilliant. Matrix farts. Check it out.
So yeah, moving swiftly on. VR. I mean, it's quite difficult for us to have a full blown conversation about this because I'm pretty much the only one to have experienced it. But I'd like to discuss it anyway on more of a standpoint of where we think it may go, what we want from it, what we can expect from it.
I think the interesting thing with the prospects of virtual reality on current gen consoles and PC is the extent of what you can actually see now. Like when virtual reality first came around and tried to do something cool, like
1995.
Yeah, man, like Games Masters type stuff. When they put on the ginormous headsets and the gloves and the wires everywhere, and it looked crazy.
Was it Nightmare, that old TV program?
It wasn't VR. They put a helmet on and they saw nothing. That was to block their view because they were actually in a room where there was just nothing but
a green screen.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and
but,
fake swinging axes.
Yeah.
Genius. but I think the thing that could make VR work now is the fact that the graphics and the environments that you can be playing in now, especially in first person stuff, is crazy.
Yeah,
like crazy. So you could be playing this game and it's going to look like, I mean, imagine The Division, playing something like The Division in first person with something like Morpheus or Oculus Rift, where your head movement will mirror you looking around the environment. Like that is the future.
It's very smart. I really want it to be good because it's something that I think we've all kind of always wanted to try. Like,
it's the first step to getting a PlayStation in your hand, in a ball, unsyncing it, sticking it to the side of your head, and just having the game play out in your brain.
Bad
this
nets,
is
though, I think. Especially with, like, imagine playing something like that with Titanfall. It's like you're getting shot. It's like another attack. It's like another Titan's attacking you. It's like
making whiplash claims.
Pretty much simultaneously, Oculus Rift returned, and they said Development Kit 2 is coming out in July,
right?
Which will improve everything. They also use Titanfall as an example, so that you can play Titanfall using the Oculus, which is leaps and bounds from what is available now.
Right.
Most games have to be cracked or modded. People can play Skyrim, they can play Mirror's Edge, but they all have to be cracked. They all have to be modded.
It's all PC as well.
Yeah, it's all PC.
So what about the second kit? Would that be only PC again?
It'll still be PC,
Right.
because Microsoft will retaliate and they will come up with something.
They have to, don't they?
Well, yeah. Which is unfortunate, but also it has to be done for their business and what have you.
Yeah.
With the stuff available now, it's incredibly impressive. But
Have you seen that
knew
thing
it was
it's a Kickstarter project.
Was this the thing that was at Eurogamer last year?
And basically it's a massive thing that it's not that big really. So sort of like running machine size, but it's circular. You get strapped into it around your waist, and you get these special shoes. And basically, when you run on this pad, it walks. You run in the game.
Cool.
So you can go 360 degrees all the way around. You can run on it, and then that relates back to the game. You have an Oculus Rift headset, and there's some kind of gun peripheral for it as well for a first-person shooter. So your pointer is the gun, and then your head is.
What happens when you get the stim boost in Titanfall? Does it mean you have to run like twice as fast?
Yes,
No idea.
just running into walls.
No idea, but I loved the idea of the immersion of that. I mean, obviously not going to be wanting to do that all the time, but I've got serious issues with exercise, and that I don't do any. And if I could combine the two things together, I would probably be super fit.
Survival horror games would be great.
The thing is,
horror games would be good for that.
Oh, the survival horror games are amazing on the Rift.
Really
ridiculous.
You'd just be running all the time, just.
It's ridiculous. You don't realise until you play. I mean, you can watch all these YouTube videos under the sun, but until you actually strap yourself in, and do it.
Which I've yet to do.
You're
I
like,
really want to.
Jesus.
The problem, right? There's
Outlast.
there's a couple of things. I'll talk about Oculus first, actually, because it's difficult to explain the many pitfalls that virtual VR has got ahead of it. I can only play Oculus between 20 minutes and half an hour at a time at a push because it makes me feel like shit.
All right. Okay.
You know, your eyes really, really crack up. It's horrible at times. You know, especially if the resolution in a particular game. I actually haven't played Mirror's Edge using the Oculus, but I've watched videos from guys who have,
Right.
and you know they're always like feeling motion sickness because you know just fast resolution. You're running, you know, you just quick movements, jarring movements. It's too much. It's too much for you. You know, it was almost like the first time when 3D came into cinemas. I as you know, as I always complain, I can't watch 3D films because it makes me feel like shit. You know, but there is that concern with the Oculus and with the Morpheus and with Xbox's one if they ever come up with one, that, you know, how are they going to get over this hurdle? So obviously that they've started thinking about this, but they'll reveal it closer to the time. But you know, there's just that small consideration. You know, until you know, hopefully they'll probably have some more stuff with the dev kit too at Eurogame this year.
Cool.
And obviously you guys can play on my Oculus or whatever.
Awesome.
But you know,
Play with your Oculus.
oh, you can play with my Oculus any day. But you know, one other feature about the Morpheus I'd just quickly like to chat about, which is quite interesting. Mainly because I'm kind of doing a dissertation on it right now, is 3D audio, and they've actually confirmed that the Morpheus will come packaged with a 3D audio interface. Basically, meaning that.
7.1 then? Is that
No, basically it will be two pairs of stereo fields.
Right.
So the two here, and then two on top and underneath that will allow you to kind of create a field that something's up there, something's down there, and then obviously everything around.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Cool.
because it hadn't been done before. You know, and there's loads of different like headsets that say, oh yeah, it's 7.1. It's not 7.1.
As in the audio will actually change in terms of what direction you're looking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible.
The future is here.
Yeah,
Today.
It's incredible.
But on more than just the left and right pan scale.
Up
Yeah.
and down.
We were like,
Maybe like an up and down scale. Man.
I want
crazy.
to see how it works because I'm an audiophile. I know to an extent a lot of this stuff and how it works and how people trick you into thinking that headsets work, but
Right.
it doesn't. So I'm really interested to see whether the down and up
Wow.
fields work. But that's just a
Yeah.
point that would be interesting. But yeah, it's just that immersion that you need. You know, when you play VR, you're playing in headphones. It's not quite right because the sound is flat, but the field is 3D.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
I'd say like the only kind of cool thing I've had with headphones is probably playing a bit of Battlefield and hearing like planes fly past you.
Yeah.
And it goes,
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's over there. It's like, wow, that's pretty cool.
It's clever. It's a
Pretty
clever
But
effect.
it's not like you don't get a sense of like my feet are down there walking kind of thing, and then like that's up there. You know, you just hear it going like that.
I mean, I'm presuming this Morpheus set's probably going to end up becoming wireless.
Oh, I think it is it wireless? I don't.
I would
actually
imagine
know.
it would
Probably.
have to be,
Because
like,
this is
they'd
another
have to
thing
sort that out.
that bugs me with things like Turtle Beach headphones and stuff, is the fact that it's all wired.
Yeah.
Which isn't, it's not a
You
problem.
get a long cable to be fair, but
Yeah,
it's still
but
annoying.
it's still
So many cables. I remember I got like a pair of these Gears of War ones when Gears of War 3 came out. It was like I was at the midnight launch and they had these like Gears of War headphones and they were essentially like glorified Turtle Beach headphones. But it was like you had the headphones and then they came down, you plugged them into another bit, they went into the back of the TV and you had like the yellow like, and then there were just so many wires all over the place.
Yeah.
And then there was another wire which came like halfway along it, which you had to actually plug into your controller, and it was just
Yeah,
like
that
I was
was-
like a horrible like hentai movie. It was horrible.
I was really surprised actually because when I went to buy them, I just wanted one pair that would work for anything. You know? And so they gave me this one thing. Okay, yeah, it comes with this like equalizer bit, that you plug into, and then that's the really long cable, and that you obviously have to plug in like to micro, mini jack and USB to power the equalizer. But like, it's a real job to get it. Like, I mean, I wish the consoles themselves had a mic out, like a mini jack out.
Yeah.
That'd be really useful.
Yeah,
luckily my TV does. So I plug into that, and then I have to stretch the other bit, which is the cable's only like so long.
Yeah.
Stretch that into like a USB port somehow or somewhere. Like, it's just a bit of it's a nightmare.
Yeah, especially when you've got used to wireless controllers, you always forget. It's just like the phone will go. You're like,
Yeah, I mean, audio is just going to get better. Like graphics are, and people are like, companies are kind of like, okay, we now have the resources to actually properly address audio now, which is really cool.
Because it's just as important.
It's the next, well, don't get me started, but it's now being treated, getting there to where it needs to be. So it's alongside the VR, the audio is the next step in turning games into the real package. Because we've got the graphics, we've got the gameplay. We just now need the total immersion that you can get from.
But that was the one thing that, like, graphically, it's pretty awful. But that's the one thing I realised this week while I was playing that Slender, the 8 pages. It's such a basic, like, looking game. But I played it in the daytime, like with the laptop, or whatever, and it had nowhere near the effect that it had.
Sure.
I played it at night with the lights off. Graphics were exactly the same, but I had the headphones in, and it was a completely different game. So, yeah.
Everything ties in all nicely.
Nice.
So I think we'll leave it there. We'll talk more about VR, I'm sure, as the weeks and days go by, and more
More news comes out.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get more machines.
These machines.
I just love they call it Morpheus. What a great name. Oh, it's amazing. Anyway.
You think that's air you're breathing now?
Is it that air you're breathing now?
Stop trying to hit me and hit me. Oh man, Morpheus.
I'm actually going to watch that again.
I really want to watch that.
Yeah, I really want to watch it.
to quote Red Dwarf, it's just, what a guy.
Cool. So that's been episode 14. Thanks for listening. You can reach us on all the usual channels. Everything /GamesHUD.
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, Google Plus,
Twitter.
I said Twitter. Twitter.
Jisha?
Pinterest.
YouPorn.
UGs.
UGs.
That's a thing.
Yes, I know.
Oh, I know.
Oh, God. Twitch.tv. I'm just going to rein it back again.
Twitch.
Rein it back to sensible.
What else? What else?
Disgusting.
Everything else. I think that's everything.
Gameshud.net.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, and the actual site.
And the bread and butter. The bread and butter.
Yeah.
Please read our articles, read our news pieces. Let us know what you think. So yeah, bye. Bye.
Bye.
I've been Matt. He's been Ollie.
See you later.
He's been Rich.
Bye.
I've been you.
Yeah, he's been Kev. He's not coming on again.
Oh, all right, well.
Peace out, guys.
You and all at the same time.
I love you. Machines. I love you, Tom.
You think that's air you're breathing now?
Machines!